He used to sprinkle salt like a king. Now he stands outside the party, not in it. It's the summer of 2025. The Champions League final has just ended. Inside, players are celebrating, music's blasting, the kind of party where the guest list is tighter than a drum. And outside is Salt Bae. Tuxedo, sunglasses, hair slicked back like he's walking a runway. But the red carpet ends at the door. Security stops him. No discussion, no confusion. He's simply not allowed in. And as the cameras roll, phones filming from every angle, Salt Bae stands frozen. A familiar face now out of place. This time, he's not being recorded as a star. He's being filmed as an interruption. The clip goes viral. Not because people admire him, because they don't. He later posts online trying to clean it up. I wasn't kicked out, he says. I was just passing by. Sure, passing by in a tuxedo at midnight at one of the most exclusive events in football. It's hard to watch. Not because it's shocking, but because it's not. This moment doesn't come out of nowhere. It's been coming for a while. So how did we get here? How did a man who built a global name off a sprinkle of salt go from internet royalty to unwelcome guest? To understand the fall, we have to go back to the beginning. Back to a boy in Turkey with a knife in his hand and nothing in his pockets.
Nusret Gökçe was born in Erzurum, a working-class city in eastern Turkey. His father worked in the mines. There was never much money. Nusret dropped out of school around age 11 or 12, not because he didn't care about education, but because he needed to work. He found a job as a butcher's apprentice in Istanbul. He worked long hours, barely earning enough to get by. But he paid attention. He learned the details, the way meat moved under the blade, the rhythm of cutting, slicing, and presenting. For years, this was his life. Then, in 2007, something changed. He borrowed $3,400 and used it to travel. Argentina, the US, Japan. He wanted to see how the world handled steak. He studied, took notes, watched, absorbed. And when he returned to Turkey, he opened his own restaurant. Nusret. Just 8 tables, small space, a few staff, but the food was good. And it caught the attention of one of Turkey's richest businessmen, Ferit Şahenk. That connection gave Nusret the opportunity to expand, and suddenly his small restaurant turned into something much bigger. Still, he wasn't famous yet. That came from a single video. It's January 2017. A short clip is posted online. Nusret stands over a piece of meat, slicing it smoothly. Then, with his hand raised high, he sprinkles salt in a strange, theatrical motion, letting it fall off his bent elbow like it's part of a dance. The internet explodes. The move is ridiculous and unforgettable. Overnight, he becomes Salt Bae. Memes, parodies, fan arts, late night skits. Soccer players start doing the move after scoring goals. Halloween costumes pop up. The salt sprinkle becomes more recognizable than most movie quotes. And Nusret, he stays silent. No interviews, no speeches, just more videos. His Instagram account grows into the tens of millions. People can't get enough. But it wasn't just the salt. It was the attitude, the sunglasses, the pose, the confidence. He didn't just serve food. He served a feeling. He made eating steak look like a luxury ritual. With the fame came the restaurants in New York, London, Dubai, Miami, Doha, each one bigger than the last. Over-the-top interiors, expensive drinks, staff trained to put on a show. The menus featured items like a $1,800 gold-covered tomahawk steak and a $100 burger, even a can of Red Bull for over $10. But people didn't care because they weren't going for the food. They were going for the moment, to sit at a table while Salt Bae sliced your meat, to record the sprinkle, to tag him, to post it online and let your followers see that you were part of the spectacle. It worked. For a time, it worked beautifully. Celebrities came by the dozens. Leonardo DiCaprio, David Beckham, Lionel Messi, politicians, influencers, athletes. But underneath all the attention, behind the gold plates and luxury lighting, things weren't as solid as they looked. The first problem showed up quietly. Bad reviews, angry customers. Critics started noticing that the food didn't live up to the hype. His London location was ranked in the bottom third of restaurants in the city. A flood of negative reviews described the food as bland and overpriced. His burger joint in New York was called the worst restaurant in the city. Not worst burger joint, worst restaurant. But Nusret didn't respond. He doubled down on the image. More gold, more posts, more shirtless gym selfies, more slow motion videos of carving meat. For him, the brand was about image, presentation, performance, but slowly the performance started to wear thin. Then came the Istanbul fire incident in 2018. At one of his restaurants, a flashy fire show meant to entertain diners went wrong. 4 guests were burned. One of them, a Russian model, suffered third-degree burns on over a third of her body. The video of the incident circulated briefly, then disappeared. Salt Bae deleted it. He never issued a public apology, never acknowledged it. That silence, once part of his mystery, now felt careless. People were starting to see something different. They saw him as someone who didn't take accountability when things went wrong. Later that year, he faced even more backlash. This time for a video showing Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro dining at his Istanbul restaurant. The timing couldn't have been worse. Venezuela was in the middle of a food crisis. Families were struggling to find basic groceries. Children were sleeping hungry. The country was suffering. And on social media, Salt Bae was feeding Maduro gold-wrapped steak, cutting it for him, serving it by hand. The video sparked outrage. It wasn't just about politics. It was about timing, tone. To many, it looked like a celebration of excess in the face of suffering. Protests were held in Miami and New York. Local politicians and celebrities criticized him. The video was taken down, but again, no apology followed. Another moment ignored. Another scandal left to sit in silence. But the worst moment came years later. December 2022, the FIFA World Cup final in Qatar. Argentina wins. Lionel Messi lifts the trophy. A moment that will live in sports history forever. And then Salt Bae appears. He somehow makes it onto the field. He's not a player, not staff, not invited, but he walks around like he belongs, taking selfies, grabbing players, reaching for the trophy. He taps Messi on the shoulder again and again until Messi finally gives in, reluctantly, for a photo. And then Salt Bae grabs the World Cup itself. He kisses it, holds it up, bites a medal like he won it. He wasn't even supposed to be there. FIFA launched an investigation afterward. They said he was never authorized to be on the field. He was banned from future World Cup events because he crossed a line, one that wasn't his to cross. That was the moment people stopped laughing. And so we come back to the Champions League's after party. Salt Bae showed up in a tuxedo, clearly dressed for the occasion, but there was no invitation waiting for him this time. Security stopped him at the door. Cameras caught the awkward exchange. He tried to explain it away later, said he was just outside passing by, but the footage of him dressed up in a tuxedo told a different story. He wasn't just passing by. He tried to get in and he got kicked out. No red carpet, no celebrity nod, just a firm no and a long walk back to reality. It almost when it showed up. Back to a player's nothing getting an invite. Disappears to school because walking it in a luxury. Is coming on a player is passed again last course there's a FIFA World Cup. The thing about luxury, real luxury, is that it doesn't beg for attention. It whispers. It doesn't scream. His luxury was loud, flashy, covered in gold leaf and served with a smirk. For a few years that worked. For a few years it made him untouchable. And now, under the lights, under the weight of too many cameras and too few compliments, the cracks weren't just visible. Let's talk about what happened behind the scenes in his restaurants, the kitchens, the staff, the people who helped build the empire but never got to sit at the table. In early 2023, Business Insider published a report that hit harder than any review ever could. 9 former employees, 6 different restaurants, the same story. Unpaid overtime, tips skimmed or withheld, people fired without cause, managers playing favorites, workers sleeping in the restaurant during lockdowns, all while Salt Bae posted 6-figure dinner bills on Instagram. The stories were consistent and disturbing. Employees said it was like working for a man obsessed, not with food, but with Instagram. Everything they said was about the image, and if you didn't fit that image, you were disposable. Some stories were especially hard to shake. One woman, hired as a server in New York, said she was told to wear a short skirt and high heels on her first day. She didn't want to. When she asked to wear the standard uniform, she was harassed by coworkers. One even followed her home. Days later, she was fired. Another female employee said she was denied a promotion because Salt Bae didn't find her attractive enough. You start to notice a pattern. It's not just about steak anymore. It's about control, power, vanity. A man who believed his own myth so completely that anyone who didn't fit into it was pushed out. In lawsuit after lawsuit, former staff described toxic environments, favoritism, especially toward Turkish workers. Non-Turkish employees said they were treated unfairly, denied raises, passed over, even mocked. It was no longer just a restaurant chain. It was something else entirely, something darker. One lawsuit in New York was settled for $230,000. It claimed managers took 3% of tips off the top and split them among staff who weren't even servers. Another employee was fined $140 for delivering leftover steak to the wrong table. Someone else had $800 in tips taken away because a customer left without paying. It wasn't just bad management, it was personal, punitive. Like being in a workplace designed to punish you, then film it in 4K. And through it all, Salt Bae said nothing. The silence that once made him mysterious now felt careless. But while staff were burning out, the restaurants were burning cash. Slowly at first, then all at once. His Boston location closed within a week of opening. Safety violations, fire exits blocked, refrigerators broken, dishwashers malfunctioning. London lost 50% of profits in less than a year. They even turned off the heating during winter. Customers sat wrapped in coats, shivering over $600 meals. In Greece, bookings dropped by 67%. In Dubai, his crown jewel, reviews described the space as beautiful, but empty.
a luxury ghost town. And then in January 2024, Salt Bae posted something that pushed things over the edge. A receipt. Not just any receipt. A single dinner bill from his Dubai restaurant, totaling over $108,000. And right underneath it, his caption, "Money comes, money goes, my friend." It was meant to show off, but it hit differently. People were furious. Not because it was expensive, because it was pointless. That money, they said, could have fed tens of thousands of children, could have covered a year's worth of groceries for entire families, could have done anything, other than pay for one night of gold-covered excess. The backlash was immediate. Not loud, but sharp. And Salt Bae just looked like he didn't care at all. Then came the slaughterhouse post. May 2025. Salt Bae uploaded a photo posing with a group of buffalo just before they were to be killed. The image was cold, unfiltered, and for the first time, the performance looked too real. It wasn't fun anymore. It was uncomfortable. Animal rights activists, Turkish celebrities, everyday followers, all of them called him out. Cruel, insensitive, disgusting. He deleted the post, but the internet didn't forget. By now, the damage wasn't coming from just one scandal. It was coming from all sides. Each mistake chipped away at the illusion. The mystery was gone. What remained was a man still acting like a viral star long after the crowd had left. And then there was the food. Even that couldn't save him. Reviews kept piling up. Oversalted, overpriced, flavored foil. People started pointing out that the gold leaf on his steaks, that you could buy the same sheets online for $10, maybe $15. Suddenly, the $1,000 steak looked like a flashy markup. Even wealthy diners began to realize they weren't paying for a good meal. They were paying to be part of a moment that had already passed. One by one, the lights dimmed. Restaurants closed. Profits dropped. His Instagram posts lost engagement. Comments turned cold. Likes dried up. And through it all, Salt Bae stayed exactly the same. Same sunglasses, same slow motion carving videos, same dreamlike captions, but no one was watching anymore. At the height of his fame, Salt Bae was more than a chef. He was a vibe, a mood, a symbol of wealth, style, performance. But vibes don't last forever, especially when they're hollow. Eventually, people want substance. And Salt Bae couldn't offer it, not in his food, not in his restaurants, not in the way he treated people. The man who built an empire off a sprinkle of salt was now left standing outside, dressed for a party that no longer wanted him. And that's the final twist. He melted. Slowly, quietly, drip by drip, until no one remembered why they ever cared in the first place. And just like that, Salt Bae faded from fame. So here's the question. Was Salt Bae a victim of his own hype, or just a reflection of ours? Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you want more stories like this, subscribe to the Celeb Spring. You might want to stick around and see who we cover next.